How we doing, guys?
You had some success initially in your passing game in the first quarter, and then that seemed to dissipate as far as any continuity as the game went on. What can you point to on why that happened?
I think it's a combination of factors when you look at it. I think at times we blocked them really well. Obviously, their defensive front is really good. J.J. Watt and Clowney are elite pass rushers in this league. And, I think at times we blocked them well. Other times we didn't block them quite as well. Ball had to come out. Dak had to move in the pocket. So some of his ability to progress through a pass pattern was diminished a little bit. He had to move around and make some plays with his feet. I think at other times there were some contested throws and catches we just simply didn't make. Each of the interceptions, the one to Tavon, really good route. Dak had to move a little bit in the pocket. The ball was a little bit high, tipped interception. So that was an opportunity for us, getting down in the red zone to cash in on a scoring drive there. There were some others that were near misses. The other interception, contested throw and catch, tipped up in the air. They make the play. We had a play on the sidelines. Didn't come down with it and possess the ball all the way through. So you can look at the specific things where you say this time it was the protection, this time it was the throw and catch. And obviously that makes the efficiency get diminished a little bit.
It was a breakdown across the board, really, over the last 3 quarters and overtime that you saw offensively. Kind of a breakdown across the board as far as why you didn't get.
Yeah, again, different guys on different plays and different factors. And again, they're really good. They're good defense, particularly on their front, particularly blocking some of these really challenging players. And they benefit from crowd noise. You're using a silent count, their get off, all those things that contribute to making the job that much more difficult for the guys up front and for you as an offense in general. And then again, some near misses, some contested throws and catches we just didn't finish the plays on.
Should those balls have been caught, those contested throws? I mean, you expect those balls to be caught?
Yeah, they're called 50-50 balls, and typically, the best offenses are ones where you can make the plays on the 50-50 balls. And, they have good players. They're going to compete for them, too. You're not going to make every one of them, but you need to start making some of those plays.
The fourth down decision, you talked about it after the game. As you look back now, any hindsight, would you have done anything differently?
Again, I think the reasoning is the same. We've been aggressive going forward on fourth down. That's been a good thing for us, but not every fourth down situation is the same. I think we're on the 42-yard line there. It was a long one. I was standing right there, so it was probably 1.5 yards when we had it. We had a play that we liked. Unfortunately, they did a good job coming in and stuffing that, and actually I think we probably lost a little bit on the third down play, so it got you to fourth and really kind of close to 2. And we just felt like in that situation, the way our defense was playing, I think if you go back to the last drive of the first half when we stop them down at the goal line, we get a stop there. We come out in the second half, and we create a turnover right away. I think they punted 3 times. We intercepted a pass. They did kick 2 field goals, one of them when they got the ball on the 29-yard line. So they had 7 or 8 possessions in a row where we stopped them. And certainly when they had the ball back in their own territory, starting inside the 25-yard line, they didn't cash in on anything. So it just made sense to us, to me at that time, to go ahead and play field position. Give Chris Jones a chance to trap him on the 10-yard line. Let's go play defense. I think we physically over the course of the game, we were really wearing them out. Our defensive line was getting to the runner, it was getting to the quarterback. They weren't really effective driving the ball or scoring points. We just felt like at that point, that's the way we wanted to play it.
Was it a difficult decision for you at the time from the standpoint of you weren't doing a lot offensively and you were doing something well defensively, so you just went, this is the overriding theme of the game, so this is the way I lean?
Absolutely. And you factor those things into it. And again, when you lose yardage on the third down play, and it's going to be a 4th and 2 type situation, and you're out of field goal range, it just made sense to force them to drive the football. And Chris executed it perfectly. They start their drive on the 10-yard line. We get a good stop on the first down play. They hit a check down to make a first down. We get a good stop after they make their first down, and then they make a really big-time play. And, I don't think that fit with how they were playing for probably 2+ quarters. We've done a good job slowing them down, forcing them to drive it, forcing them to punt, taking the ball away. All those things factored into it.
Quickly, do you make that decision, or are there people in your ear saying, "Hey, let's go for it"? What do we think? I mean, what's the time frame that obviously this?
Well, I think you're always thinking about what you're doing prior to the third down play being snapped. What's next? What's the sequence of calls that you like in that situation? A lot of that stuff has been talked about well before the game. We had a situation earlier when we had a 3rd and 1 where we made some yardage. We didn't make the first down, but it became an inches situation for Dak. So we went with this quarterback sneak that we felt good about. Again, when you go backwards and it's close to 4th and 2 in that situation, that becomes a very different situation, a different decision. So you're anticipating what you might do based on what we make prior to the 3rd down play, and then you make the decision.
On the 3rd down play, that was a zone read. Should Dak have kept the ball, or did
He made the right decision to give it.
So somebody else didn't get their block with their linebacker?
Correct.
You made the comment that you guys have been aggressive on 4th down in the past. I believe the stat is 18 of 20 times over the course of Dak and Zeke's time here with Dallas that you guys have been successful on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. How do you weigh your historic success against the fact that you're staring at, hey, 3rd and 1, we didn't go anywhere? How do you weigh those two things against each other?
Yeah, I just think you do. You make a good point. Again, the reason we've been aggressive is because we've been good in those situations. And I have a lot of confidence in the guys up front, a lot of confidence in our runner. But again, the game situation, what we had done on offense, what we had done on defense, how long that 4th down was, all those factors played into it. The fact that we're in overtime, if you do a good job on defense, you get a stop. Maybe they make 1 first down, they punt it back to you. You make 1 first down back and you kick the game-winning field goal. All those things go into it. And that's really how you play that situation out. If you're playing ahead of that decision, that's how you see it happening. Let's get a stop here. We'll give our guy plenty of chances. We still got 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Our guys kicked a big kick here in the preseason. He's kicking the ball well. That's how we're going to win this game. We're going to win it 19-16 after our defense makes a stop.
Obviously, you have to address it repeatedly with us. Did you address it with your team either after the game or today, just kind of giving them your sort of way of thinking as a way to kind of keep them on your page, or is that something you not really need to
Yeah,
worry about?
we didn't talk to the team about it last night, and I think our coaching staff knows what the thought process was.
Your defense was on the field 70 some odd plays, I think, in regulation, maybe a little tick than that. Did you think they were getting tired at all? Did that factor in? They played a lot of snaps, even if they were having this success.
Yeah, again, the overriding thing was they're having success. And again, 7-8 possessions in a row where they hadn't really done very much. Had kicked 2 field goals, one of which they got the ball in the red zone. So they were making stop after stop after stop, and they weren't running it very well. We were getting after the quarterback. We were hitting the quarterback. We had quieted the receiver down a little bit, so all those things pointed to us playing well and being able to sustain it.
The first pick, Tavon, is he a better throw there from your quarterback?
Yeah, you'd like to put that ball a little bit more on his cylinder. He had to move a little bit to his left when he came back and made that throw, but unfortunately that ball was a little bit off him, and Dak would tell you I got to put it on him more. Tavon would say I got to make that play.
The second pick, would you say the same thing, or was that more about
A little bit more contested, the covers that they had based on the route. I think Dak would probably say put it on a little bit more, and Deontay would say somehow, some way I got to get my hands out and I can't let him get his hand in there where that ball gets tipped up.
Is that a situation where Thompson needs to come back to the quarterback a little bit stronger?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all those contested plays amount to that. It's the location of the throw and the receiver coming back and competing more for it. And again, Deontay would be the first one to tell you that.
What's the confidence level in this receiving corps being able to make those 50-50 catches? They haven't shown a consistency of being able to do it all season.
Well, we haven't been consistent enough at it, but we've demonstrated that we can do it. And so we have to keep working at it. And again, it's everybody. Everybody's got a piece of the passing game. It starts with the guys up front, making the pocket clean. We have to be a really good protecting offensive line. Again, we're challenged by really good front yesterday in the game against Houston. The location of the football, and then guys making the plays.
Are you seeing enough separation from your guys in the receiving corps?
At times, absolutely. There's places to throw the football, and we've completed those balls, and sometimes we haven't completed them, and sometimes there hasn't been enough separation. So you look at all those things, and you look at why, and you try to rectify it going forward.
Bryce hasn't, I think he got the Hail Mary last night. How come you guys haven't been in a regular rotation since you brought him?
Yeah, he very well could be. You know, we're looking for guys who can help us be better in the passing game. We like Bryce. He's done some good things for us in the past, so we'll keep competing for that time during the game each week.
Looking back on the tape, what were your thoughts on the running game and what they did to try to contain Zeke run?
Well, they challenge you a lot of different ways up front, and when you're talking about 99 and 90, you know, what those guys do best is they disrupt. They disrupt in the running game. They use your force against you. There's a lot of swim techniques. There's a lot of jumping into gaps. There's a lot of stuff where they find themselves in the backfield. And at times, again, we blocked them well in the running game, and we protected well against them. But for the most part, you know, too much during the ball game, they were able to kind of find a gap and meet Zeke in the backfield. You know, I think he had 20 carries in the game. I think 9 of them were for 0 or minus yards. Now, we had some other good runs in the game, and sometimes that's a byproduct of what they do. Maybe they're jumping out of a gap, and you could take advantage of it. But they were able to disrupt a little bit with their line movement. We didn't run the ball consistently well enough in the game as a result.
Like, as you were saying, too, not to bring everything back to the decision on the punt, but you just cited the 9 runs of 0 or minus yards. You're charting that over the course of the game, too, and in key situations, you're determining what has happened throughout the game and whether it makes sense to do that again in this situation.
Absolutely.
You had a couple of defenders that weren't able to finish the game with injury. Can you update us on Joe Thomas as well as Cheeto?
Yeah, you know, Cheeto came out after halftime. You know, he was dealing with an ankle going into the ball game and did some good things in the game, but really wasn't able to play the way he needed to play. So just made that decision to sit him down and give Anthony Brown an opportunity to work outside and Jordan Lewis a chance to play nickel. And sure enough, coming right out in the second half, Anthony makes the forced fumble and Jordan recovers it. So certainly a big play. But Cheeto's a good football player, and he was battling, trying to fight through it. Unfortunately, wasn't able to finish. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go this week. We'll see how he's able to practice. Joe might be a little bit longer, hurt his foot. And it didn't look great last night and didn't look great today. So we'll take him day by day, but don't anticipate him being up and ready to go here in the near future.
Zeke, is he about the same physically from last week or a little bit more banged up?
Again, you'll have to ask him. You know, he's been fighting through some different things, but you know, he's a tough football player now and a competitive guy, and just kept battling last night. It wasn't always easy for him, but you know, he kept sticking up in there. So anticipate him being ready to go.
I know their defensive line is good, but you guys are proud of your offensive line. Did you expect more from your linemen last night?
We needed to play better, and you know, unfortunately, it just wasn't consistent enough. And like I said, at times we blocked them really well in the running game and protected really well. We had time to throw it, an opportunity to throw it, but at other times, they were able to disrupt and make some plays. And again, it goes a little bit to their style, how they play, a lot of line movement, a lot of swimming inside, a lot of kind of taking chances, if you will. And at times we blocked it well, individually and with double teams, but other times it wasn't good enough.
Has this line overall been a little more inconsistent than in the last 2 to 3 years? Because, again, with circumstances, you have 2 new guys in there, and just working through that, you don't have the cohesion you've had.
Well, again, I think at times this year we blocked really well, and you said it, a new starting center, and Joe Looney, he's done a good job. I think he's getting better week by week. And then obviously Connor being a rookie in the lineup for the first time. So those guys are learning. I think they're improving. But when you lose a guy like Travis Frederick, Travis is a Pro Bowl player. I mean, that makes a difference on your team. But you just have to keep going forward. And we're lucky to have Joe Looney, and he's getting better. And, you know, I do think they're playing. You know, you see signs of everybody playing well together. You see evidence of that. And at times we've done a really good job of that, just hasn't been consistent enough. And part of it has been the communication part. I think we've played our 3 worst games on the offensive line on the road. And that's just something we have to get better at. You play road games. Crowd noise is a part of it. We just got to do a better job. Everybody's staying on the same page, being assignment sound, and doing what we need to do. And again, at times good, other times not good enough.
Considering the experience level at the line, you got Tyron, All-Pro, Zach, that surprised you because you were struggling on the road with your own line?
Again, it's the unit working together, and the cohesiveness that you need, the communication that you need, and we just have to do a better job of that.
Can this team contend if the passing game doesn't get better?
Well, we have to get better, obviously. We have to really got to get better throughout our whole football team, and that's a big emphasis for us, as a coaching staff, to make sure you improve week by week, independent of what the result of the game is. But at times this year we've done a good job in the passing game. At times in the game last night, there were some good things that showed up. We made some explosive plays in the passing game, big plays, 30, 40-plus plays in the game. But we have to be more consistent, we have to be more efficient, and we have to be able to continue to make those explosive plays if we want to score the points to win the games. And we have to keep working on it.
Jason, Jerry said last night that he wished y'all had gone for it on fourth down. Do you feel like you have the support of Jerry's support and support of ownership?
Yes.
Did you get, when he says it's time to take that risk, do you explain to him the way you just explained it to us? You guys have those conversations?
Yeah, we talked about the thought process behind that and why you make a decision like that based on how we're playing on defense in particular and what the details of the circumstances were.
You put Terrence and Travis on injured reserve. We haven't talked to you since that. Well, we talked at the game, but didn't get a chance to ask you about those two decisions. What went into that?
Yeah, the thought process behind Travis right from the start is he's such a good football player, and we wanted to give him every chance, coming out of this diagnosis that he had towards the end of training camp. And this was new to everybody. So understanding how long it might take for him to come back, nobody was really clear. And so we felt like it was worth it to keep him on the 53-man roster because of how good a football player he is. It was worth a roster spot. But as this thing has unfolded, I think he would tell you that he feels like he's getting better, but he wasn't going to be ready to play here in the next month or so. So it makes sense to put him on IR, get the roster spot. He would be able to start practicing in 6 weeks and play in 8 weeks. If he were able to come back. But we're making no guarantees of that. We're just taking it day by day, and we just felt like it was the most practical thing to do based on where he is physically. And he understood that, and it was a mutual decision, and we think it's good for both sides. In regards to Terrence has been dealing with a foot injury since that surgery, and just felt like where he was, we just wanted to give that thing more time. And Terrence is a tough guy. He's a competitive guy who wants to play and just kind of kept battling through that thing. But he wasn't quite himself. And we just felt like at this point, it's really the same reasoning. You can put him on IR, possibly bring him back in 8 weeks and give him a chance to heal up and see where he is, 2 months' time from now, see if he's ready for the stretch run.
Why didn't Irving make the trip to Houston, and what is his status for this week going forward?
Well, he was able to practice on Wednesday last week and did a good job in practice. Wasn't a full practice, but he did a good job handling the work. And then he had a family situation that he was working through towards the end of the week, and he wasn't available to us on Thursday or Friday. And we were trying to get that resolved. And, ultimately we looked at each other late on Friday and Saturday and said, this guy he's practiced once in 10 months. So it wouldn't be fair to him and wouldn't be fair to the team to put him out there in the ball game. So hopefully he has that family situation resolved. He can have a full week of practice and give him a chance to play in the ball game this week.
So what was your decision to not take him to Houston because he just didn't have the practice time? And was there a message to him that, hey, we understand and support what you're going through, but you need to be here with us going forward?
Yeah, it just made sense. Again, he's a good football player, and he did well in practice on Wednesday, but to not play football since last November and go out there for, a dozen or so snaps in practice and say you're ready to play in an NFL game, it just didn't make any sense to do that. So, hopefully he feels good about the work he did get in last week, and he can get a full week of practice in, and we'll make our decision for this game on Sunday.
Have you talked to him since you've been back? Do you know that situation has been resolved at this point?
I have not spoken to him. I have not spoken to him myself.
Will he be here on Tuesday?
We anticipate him, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.